It's the start of the week, another episode of Who Should You Choose, the video series where I go through the prior videos, questions and comments, and help you with your HUT line of decisions. Again, for anyone that doesn't get their question answered in this next video, make sure you come check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/nosleeves12. I'll be live by 2 p.m. Eastern time pretty much every single day, and I'll answer your question live, or subscribe with notifications on if you can't catch the stream. Let's go. All right, we'll start down at the bottom. JRP says, love all your work, man. Thank you a ton. Appreciate that, my dude. Brooksy says, what's up, Sleeves? Are you ever going to do World of Chell content? I never played or bought into it until this year, and wow, it's a breath of fresh air from HUT. Things are just stale in the HUT cycle, and I would love to see some coverage of the World of Chell side of things from you. Wishing you and the fam well. I loved World of Chell. If you actually go back to like my second year of creating content on YouTube, I pretty much dedicated it all to sixes and ESHL and League Gaming. It was the year that I found League Gaming as a whole, and it's fantastic. The issue is, unfortunately, when it comes to the viewership side of things, it is a fraction of Hockey Ultimate Team. Just how it is, unfortunately. To be honest, I probably wouldn't even play HUT all that much if it wasn't for what I do for a living now. But I still love HUT, and it just unfortunately is where all the viewership goes. Horace says, remember on a past podcast of Coffee and Chell, you and Padre spoke about how good the next-gen Xbox is and your frustrations with PS5, size, controller, etc. On PS4 now and was thinking of migrating to PS5, but will wait until NHL 25 and look to get an Xbox. Can you please speak to as to why you think it's better or the reasons why it might be better than PlayStation 5? So, obviously it's always going to be personal preference. However, like I mentioned on that podcast and over the last few months, I've been like a Sony guy for like my entire life, essentially. Like my very first real console was a PlayStation 1 when I was 7 years old. And I've had PlayStation 2 in the launch year, PlayStation 3, 4, all the way up to 5. And other than the 360, Xbox has always been like the second tier, in my opinion, because a lot of the games, I mean, even back in the day when there was exclusives mattered, like Halo, I still had an Xbox. And 360, in my opinion, crushed the PlayStation. I guess that would have been the PlayStation 3. And then what happened with the PlayStation 4 as well as the Xbox Series or the Xbox One? In that console generation, Xbox tried to do too many things too fast. If you remember at launch, it released the Kinect, and that is essentially Google Home, which has taken over the world. But it was too early in the life cycle for consumers, and it was an extra cost that you had to pay to get it. It didn't work very fluently, and it effectively really put the console behind, and then it just didn't perform very well, in my opinion. When it comes to why I think, in terms of NHL, there is a latency issue that is on the PlayStation 5 that is more so on the PlayStation 5 than the Xbox by quite a large margin. So me and Padre are doing some digging on this because, as you know, if you've been watching my podcast over the last year or so, Padre is kind of a nut when it comes to any sort of like technical advantage or things because he plays NHL at a very high level. And the issue is that NHL is hindered by so many things when it comes to latency. If you have not played before NHL, I believe it was 19, then you don't remember what it was like to play on peer-to-peer. And while booting and all of that stuff ran rampant, it was still a much better online experience because you played peer-to-peer. And in NHL specifically, peer-to-peer is clearly far better than server-based unless you live like next to a server, which very few people do. Outside of the province of Quebec. And even people in Quebec don't all get the 2 ping that almost everyone else does. That being said, when you're on peer-to-peer, it's essentially like, here are your 2 connections. Based on your internet connections, you're going to split the difference, and you're either both going to be on 30, or one person on server would be on 2, the other person's on 30. It depends on your connection to the server. Peer-to-peer, it splits it. And when you play Versus, for example, it's on peer-to-peer still, and even if it says 40, it plays so much smoother. So you've already got an issue when you load into HUT and you play based on your server, okay? Because your opponent might have a better connection to a server. On top of that, there is an issue within NHL over the last 2 years where inputs seem to be slightly delayed, whether that's a change from total controls to the skill stick and all of that, whatever it is. But on the PlayStation, when it moved to PlayStation 5, they have had issues with their controller since launch. I believe Sony actually sued the company that originally made the original DualShock 4 or whatever they call it. Um, if you've been following me for a while, you know famously my Edge controller, whatever you want to call it, the big boy $200 one, is my 15th controller since launch of the game. Stick drift, input delay, the controllers just break. It's awful, frustrating, and it is what it is. But in NHL, we did some digging, and there was someone who was able to test input delays from other games. Some of them were fighting games, I believe and another one was an FPS game. I can't remember the one, but it showed they tested Xbox Series X had like a 0.3%, or sorry, 0.3 millisecond response time, which is pretty good. Xbox One had like a 0.48, PlayStation 4 had like a 0.53, and PlayStation 5 had like a 0.92. And again, we're talking milliseconds, but when you're playing the game that is already hindering you based on your server and your connection, that's why you find people that can poke so much faster, make passes so much faster, because any input on the controller, if there's any sort of latency, it will add to that time. And all of that combined has just made a super frustrating experience for NHL, because NHL as a game relies on inputs so much and so much speed in the way that it's played more than most other games, you know? So next year, I'll be going Xbox simply because it is a smoother gameplay experience. And don't even get me started on playing cross console, because PlayStation, because of that latency issue, is why you will more than likely struggle against Xbox users. So that was a really long winded question, but I know I get a lot of questions about that. So should I upgrade Weber all the way, or just wait for a guy with gold quick draw in an event? Pronger's really good too. If he's going to be your first line center, right? I'd probably he's fine. But if you're looking for someone that can play lower in your lineup, that is like Messier, for example, even though he doesn't have gold quick draw, you could just wait, or you could go and make team builder Newendike and just have him prepared for when new team builders come out in February, more than likely. So, hey Sleeves, I love the content. Just wondering what I should do about Chucky's team of the year. I have Hillary Knight, so I can activate and force her forward. Do I speed boost on Chucky to make him 93 speed, 89 acceleration, or do I put acceleration boost to make him even at a 91? On forwards, it's top end speed, because especially with wingers, because think how often you carry the puck and you're just going down the boards. Right now, there will be times where you have to go left and right, and acceleration will matter. I think acceleration matters more on defensemen than it does on forwards. We thinking Ovechkin on D or Carlson on forward. The team is pretty well rounded. Can't decide where to go. Ovechkin on defense is going to be far more impactful from a competitive side of things than Carlson. Not to mention, like, having gold 1T is just fun on a defenseman. Hey, Slave, do you think strategies make a big difference? I was using behind the net because that's what I saw everyone recommending, but I wasn't playing well, so I changed to overload and been playing much better. 100%. They're so limited. This is something I have been complaining about in the Game Changer chat for 5 years that I've been in the program. The lack of strategies in game is honestly ridiculous. It has been the same three strategies famously since NHL 04. I'm not over exaggerating. It has been the same three. So I am very firm in the opinion that even adding one new offensive strategy would change the game more than any other feature they can add in. If they could add in multiple new strategies to make the game different, and that you've got to think about what your opponent's doing, maybe change in game, have multiple, 100%. Behind the net this year is not as dominant as it was in the years past, because I think Overload is actually a little bit better in NHL 24 specifically. Who do you think will be the top 5 fantasy cards to get to 99? Well, we have our first 99, Oliver Bonk. I hope you guys listened in my original fantasy video during that event. I work for I'm a part of the media team for the Niagara Ice Dogs, and early on in the year, I actually got to see the London Knights play twice against the Ice Dogs, and you can just, of all the players that I get to watch in Major Junior, NHL drafted defensemen are easily the most noticeable. Everything goes through them. And the thing with the London Knights and why Bonk struggled so early on is because they have who I deem to be the Finnish Danny Heatley in Haltinen, and they were just force feeding him the puck on the power play. That kind of stopped when Haltinen went. There were a couple about last month, and Oliver Bonk went off the bumper position, and he just started exploding, and he's now 99. So. Other than that, Doughty, I'm pretty firm he will get it. It could be a while, but Rasmus Anderson's sneaky as well. And then you've got like Tabo Teravainen, who still has a strong shot. Yo, Sleeves, my top 9 is made up of all Ultimate Power icons, 3 Team of the Year forwards, as well as X Factor, Jack Hughes, Medano, and Bedard. My question for you is, what do you think the best line is in the game, as well as do you think I should make Weber or Hillary Knight? I have all the team builders and all the men's team of the year, so I was wondering if either are worth it or I should just save for the vids. I love the vids. Thanks for the great work. I'm actually almost in the exact same situation. I think that Mario is the best center in the game. Every time I go up against him and using him for those last Hut Champs run for the first time, he has just been. He's not as good as Gretzky this year, but there's something about him. I don't know what it is. And then McKinnon and McDavid on the wings. I like having Kachuk with Gretzky because Gretzky's a little bit smaller, and Kachuk's a little bit harder to knock off the puck. I also have. I run Madonna. I mean, like, dude, honestly, your lines are pretty set. Like, they're pretty good. There's really no reason. I mean, you could make Weber if you're going to use gold quick draw or having someone with 99 draws for that fourth line for sure. Bonjour, Sleeves. Thanks for the team advice. I was able to make McDavid, McKinnon, and McCarr. Now I feel like I don't really need anything or I have anything to go for right now. I don't know what to go after. What should I try to go for? Should I start team building journey or should I go for coins to make my dream God squad? Always make the cards that you want, but I think a lot of people are in this position where they spend everything for team of the year. Now it's like, now what? Long game, the next set of team builders is probably the play. So slowly start saving up your NHLers because they will require more NHLers or more team builders than what are currently out to make the next set. But that is until like middle of February. Really, after that, you're waiting for the next event, to be honest with you. Hey, Slaves, any advice on how to deal with an opponent who constantly hits and bumps you and seems like every hit bump zaps your energy, especially when you're trying to enter the offensive or defensive zone? So what's happening is that someone is using truculence or silver truculence because that is one of the big advantages of it. It sucks all the energy out of your player when they bump you. When you are running up against someone who is very aggressive, you need to pass the puck a ton. Like I'm talking overpass, like hold on to the puck for less than a second and you're just moving and eventually they're going to charge up for a hit and that is when you can just go. I got 9 wins in Hut Champs and I'm free to play. Let's go, dude. My team isn't great and I have no team builders, although I'm working on them. What should I do with my Champs collectibles? Go for packs or power-ups? Thank you. Thank you. You are the best. Appreciate that, man. If you're looking for team builders, Mega Players packs are probably the play for team builders. Actually, to be honest with you, everything's cheaper now. So non-NHLers are probably... Jumbo Elite Players packs are the play. Jumbo Elite Players packs are still the play if you're going for team builders. I feel like to make smaller players, women, more usable in game, it's just to make them harder to hit. There's a reason they can play RL, is that they're usually shifty enough to not get laid out. I think they should make it so it's very difficult to get a full hit animation on the smaller players, and if you don't actually hit them, then they just kind of slide off the defender. I think that's not a bad idea. I think it's a slippery slope, and I don't trust EA to implement that correctly. I think they should all just come with Unstoppable Force, maybe. Same kind of, remember, I don't know if you guys remember, but one of these videos a while back, someone said that goaltenders under 6 foot or 6 foot and under should be able to activate any X Factor ability for free. Maybe it's like all women cards get gold Unstoppable Force. Maybe, I don't know, something along those lines. Team says, hello, Sleeves. You're awesome, brother, but I have a rant. I remember when we could use your team builder website, and I missed your cat. I remember when we could use your team builder website, and I miss your cat making mischief on your videos. Well, why can't we use your team builder website, bro? Hut Hub is like thriving right now, boys. If anyone needs to is looking for info on any card in the game, it updates almost immediately. I hired someone to do it. Rancy, you've been doing a great job. Missed my cat. That was at the old place, bro, when I was streaming out of my living room. But to the rant in game, I'm in no money spent, and play squad battles only. It's getting old, and I only can play maybe 3 to 4 games a day in squad battles, and get my rewards taken away from me when I go to my real job. I want to build my theme team, but I have to use some players like Hutverse to do objectives and knocks my team overall down. Makes it harder to play. I understand to play to win, but do you think at 280 games is out of hand? It is. There's ways around it. Unfortunately, if you're only playing squad battles, then you're wasting your squad battles games. But 2-minute periods on rookie mode and just sitting there and getting it done with 10 cards, it's pretty cheap to get all of the Hutverse cards at 83 overall and just not upgrade them. But yeah, it is a lot for players. You know, I wish they came up with something that was a little bit more engaging to do that. Hey, Slaves, do you think Jason Arnott could be a good choice for a 93 or 96 team builder? I was researching possible players, and turns out that he had an 89 MSP in NHL 19 as well, so he's probably in the game, right? Do you think any other players in mind that would be a great team builder? I hope your son as well. Thank you so much, dude. My number one guesses for the next or future team builders are any of the big guys that don't have power up icons this year. So Sundin, Rob Blake, Eric Lindros. Those would be the main three that I could think of. So. But that'll do it for this episode of Who Should You Choose. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And again, be sure to check out the Twitch channel, as well as my TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube accounts. Again, the social media links are down below as my dog wants to say hi. All right, I'll see you guys later.